So I think what we're going to do is we are going to go into these documents. And we are going to get prepared for what we should expect in this trial. See, right? I don't know about any of you guys, but whenever I can find documents and whenever I get documents, I am truly excited, right? So let me get our first document up that we are going to look at. And I think it's very important that we kind of discuss what charges we have. Let me see, because I have the court website up. So, and I don't know if any of you guys know, and y'all can let me know, but I believe, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, the attorney that is representing Nicholas is Douglas Weinstein, right? Is that Young Thug's lawyer? Was he in? He wasn't Young Thug's lawyer, but he was in the YSL case, right? Or am I thinking of someone different? Because remember, this is all coming out of near Atlanta. It's in Georgia. Georgia. Okay. Libby said that's right. Okay. When I was looking, I was like, oh, this name's here. Right? So he a big attorney. We can agree upon that, right? After being that Young Thug, YSL, 365 day plus trial. I guess it was 365-day trial, but I may be exaggerating. Okay, so this what we got. Nicholas, right? I'm gonna call him Nicholas James because I'm not about to be playing around with this last name. So he is on trial. He's in Liberty County, Georgia. Georgia, right? And he charged with the second degree unaliving of his wife, Mindi, right? Whose body was discovered scattered across two wooded areas. Now, she was actually on the run with him during this period of time. Now, what they were on the run for, I have no clue. But I guess maybe he was tying up loose ends. Who knows? But his major charges that he has against him is malice, unaliving, right? He has felony unaliving, aggravated assault, and then concealing an unaliving. It sounds so funny just seeing that, right? When I'm reading these documents, so I'm trying to slowly do it so I don't. So Google, look, I'm about to say Google. So YouTube don't think I'm trying to say the M word or the K word or the whatever word, right? Hey, just be nice. Good morning. I I know. Just be nice is really, really funny. Gotta watch our M words and our K words as we're in the chat. So let's be careful, guys. A dude that ended up not guilty on everything. Okay, Libby, you talking about the person that Douglas Weinstein represented in the YSL case, right?
Motion detected at front door.
Okay, so let's start here. Besides me trying to drink my water. So I think that we'll start with the state's first supplementary discovery disclosure. We'll go over what evidence that they have on this. I do have a second one. So we'll go over this one first. And then we will go over the motion in limine, right? Yeah, he was a lawyer, right, therapist?
Motion detected at front door.
Okay, so hopefully y'all can see my screen here. So this is the first document that we'll go over, just to kind of see what information the state has and what information they're going to present. Now I can tell you that the motion in limine that I do have pulled up from the defense, it has a lot more details and information. He is currently in custody. For those that are not aware, he was given a bond. He just was unable to make it. Okay, so he's still in custody, for what that's worth. But just so y'all kind of know, I'm just moving some of this stuff off my screen because I got every document that could be a document, that was a document that I was going to use, all up on my screen. So before I get all the way confused, well, what stuff we're taking, what stuff we're going to be reviewing, I definitely want to make sure. Yeah, I got his witness list. You don't have many witnesses that he's going to be calling, but I do have it. Let me get. Okay, so as we can see here, we have our state of Georgia, our defendant, right? We got our case number. Y'all know all that good jazz. We can see that. So they provided the following material to the defendant and the defense. They provided the investigative case summary on an interview with Natalie, right? There's also an audio interview that they provided. Blood examination crime lab report. We have a curriculum vitae with Edward Brian Mondor. I have no clue who these people are. We have a 2-mark examination crime lab report, GBI bench notes, and we have transcripts of an annulment hearing. And then we have an investigator supplemental report, right? So these were delivered to the defense, and that was their first list. Well, not their first list. This was the first supplement of their discovery in this case. Okay. So we have that. Now, why the first supplemental discovery was It's kind of minute compared to the second one. And let me show you the second one. Let me get that up for us. So this is the second one. And mind you, this was just filed on July the 9th. So it hasn't been that long ago. And then we're going to see the paperwork that the defense filed after this on how they trying to say, hey, certain evidence shouldn't be put in here. We should limit certain photos. So kind of getting the backhand. Okay, guys. So we have on here on our report, and OnlyFans, yeah, I kind of figured that. So we have on here, they presented to the defendant the following material. So number one, they want to present 5 photographs of Mindi, who is the victim. So let's keep that in mind. She's the victim in this case. Number 2, business records from Sony Pictures Entertainment. And then they want to submitted revised business records. I don't know. Did he work for Sony Entertainment? I wonder what business records they need from Sony Entertainment. Yeah, Sherry, a poison report. Yeah, he definitely was. So we also got the business records from J.C. Lewis Ford. Yeah, he did owe the ex-wife money. You're absolutely right, Rachel. So maybe that's where those business records are coming in. So we have the autopsy report with notes that was submitted. We have the alcohol content report, work product and notes. We have a toxicology, right, report. We have DNA typing report. We have a 2-mark report. We got a processing report. We got all types of reports. We got a blood exam report, LP processing report, DNA percentage report. Because remember, they had to identify her by getting DNA samples from family members. That's how they were able to identify her. So I think they did like an ancestry test or something to that effect, from what I remember. We have a DNA typing report. Of course, we got some old case information. Got 2 of those reports, one from FB Ransom and Dr. Lenham. We got this blood examine report. We got a poison detective report. Wow, they got a lot of stuff. Another poison detective. We got Brett Dickerson's curriculum. Got a final report from the ME. Evidence information. Case communication. Which, I know that this is letting us know what key evidence will be revealed, especially when we're talking about the interview with Natalie, right? And those crime lab blood reports are very important. Hey, Cinnamon Bear. They are currently doing jury selection this morning. So I'm not sure if we are going to go right into opening statements. Keeping my fingers crossed. Definitely want to get us in the courtroom as soon as it happens. And of course, they always trying to, we need to have photos and text records and things like that. So the discovery just shows how the prosecution is linking our guy Nicholas, to this crime. So what else we got on here? We have our GBI bench notes, transcripts of the annulment hearing. Of course, they want to show exactly what he owed the prior wife. And just so you know, from my understanding, he did get married after this incident, right? This alleged incident. So this stuff was all sent over to the attorneys, of course. Now, it's to my understanding that the state plans on calling a total of 10 witnesses, just in case if anybody wanted to know. So that's what I have on the witness list. I won't show the witness list only because it has everybody's address on here. I don't know how that works. I have to figure out how that works in regards to showing. I was like, oh, it got everybody address on it. I don't want nobody to talk about I gave out the address. So I'll leave that right there. And it's not, unfortunately, I got it straight from the court's website. So none of my stuff is redacted. Not that I mean, I personally don't need any of one. So right here, we'll go into reviewing over what the defendant is saying about all this evidence that they trying to bring in, right? Doug, like, we don't need to hear nothing from no ex-wife. She has nothing to add to this. Like, you don't have nothing to add to this at all. Like, that's old news, and it don't have nothing to do with him and his new wife. Right? So they filed this on July the 19th, 2025 in regards to it. So it reads, it says, comes now the defendant, Nick James, with a capital K, right? Through his counsel. We know, oh, Doug, right? They are respectfully, I mean, come on, court. Exclude all this evidence, all this documents, all this mess relating to his prior to marriage and his divorce from his first wife, like Heather, and her name is Heather Thomas. Like, we don't need that. That don't have nothing to do with this. Nothing at all. So they presenting, concerns in regards to the allegations. The defendant supposedly, quote unquote, unalived his second wife, Mindi, and dismembered her body and spreaded her over about 2 to 3 miles, right? In a wooded area. And some hunters found her body. She was found on December the 2nd, 2022 in Liberty County, right? He wasn't even arrested until May of 2023, and he was all the way in Pennsylvania somewhere living his best life. He was married to Heather, the person's testimony that they want to keep out, from 2009 to 2015. So this was like 7 years prior to the incident at issue, is what they're saying. His last interaction with his prior wife was in 2019, and that was following that $1.5 million judgment in a Virginia court that she was awarded, right? So, based on the discovery of the state witnesses, the state intends to introduce all this evidence regarding the marriage, divorce, and other court orders and communication between the ex-wife and Nicholas. They stand, but this shouldn't even be allowed in court. This stuff is character evidence, and it ain't got nothing to do with this case at all. So it's saying that it should be excluded up under that 404. We hear a lot of that in a lot of trials that we cover, right? So they're saying, yeah, we know they're going to argue that the introduction of this evidence is appropriate up under this 404B, including, but not limited to, proof of motive, opportunity, intent, preparation, plan, knowledge, identity, or absence of a mistake or accident. But they saying, no, don't put it in. So the defendant is just saying that this evidence is likely to be used, and it just shouldn't be, right? They're saying, like, I guess she has a quote that Nicholas is a terrible human and a terrible husband who mistreats all his wives, and I mean all his women. He don't want to pay them. He want to divorce them. He want to do all this stuff. And they're like, no. We don't want that in. That's bad character evidence, right? So they're saying that in the present case, they're giving some case information in regards to it, that it will provide improper arguments. So this is basically the defense trying to argue why we should not be able to hear from the ex-wife. So it says, even should the state be able to make it showing, the court will still have to decide up under this 403 whether the value is outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice, right? And then we get the information in regards to what this 403 analysis is done, right? Sherry said, I want to hear from the ex-wife. What she got to say? What do the new wife got to say? OnlyFans said she better get up on that stand and be careful, because if he go to jail, she don't get them dollars. What'd you say? Who cares about all them 404s? Oh, she testifying. Y'all don't have to worry about that. Hey, Kath, what do you mean when you say we have no idea what we're talking about? We're just reading the court documents. Welcome. You have additional information that you can share with us? Yeah, the new wife is not on here. They're fighting for the old wife. Yeah, they don't want the ex-wife to testify at all. So just reading on in their thing, they're saying that with the it's the state may attempt to get the defendant's character for mistreatment of the wives into evidence. So they must have some evidence, maybe from the ex-wife, that he was abusive or whatever the case may be, and that may be why he why they got a divorce, right? However, the defendant's prior relationship with Thomas, which was 4 years and more before the alleged crime, is neither part of the same transaction as the charge offense. So it says necessary to complete the story of the alleged crime. Wait, so he has a judgment for him with his ex-wife, allegedly unalive his ex-wife too. And yeah, that's my understanding. He got remarried right after. Hey Kim, good morning. Not in and out. Them lines be wrapped around the corner. Yeah, he's definitely a busy guy. So yeah, so they basically submitted this on July the 19th, but it is definitely to my understanding that the ex-wife is going to take the stand. So whatever they thought they was going to get off, it's not going to happen. So let me send this over. So this was submitted to them on July the 19th, and I'll show you just how quick the judge decided, nope, it's coming in. So as we can see right here, this was July the 24th, 2025, right? Hopefully y'all can see it. They're just talking about the pre-trial hearing that happened that morning. It's saying that they dealt with this issue in regards to if the first wife should be allowed to, as evidence, their relationship be allowed to be evidence in this trial. Now, he ended his relationship once again, just letting y'all know, on the first wife, 1.5 million. The defense is arguing once again that there was a 3-year gap from the last point of contact, because remember the last time he spoke to her was in 2019. And these are separate issues. But his motive for him being on the run is what the state is saying. And he explains that the story all started because of this, right? And a big part of the trial yet to be fully uncovered. But okay, so it says during and after his time on the run, Nicholas claimed that McIntyre was controlling every aspect of his life. But the state believes that McIntyre isn't a real person. What the heck? What is they talking about? I don't know what they talking about. They done lost me right there. What they mean it ain't no real person. He says all of this is an effort to explain why he and Mindi are on the run. Jim McIntyre, clearly, that wasn't his real name. absolutely exists, says the defense attorney Doug Weinstein. What you talking about, Doug? They were moving every few days at the control of this person. We'll keep calling Jim McIntyre. Is this the oh, he goes by two names. Well, get us together, Sherry, because I'm like, who is Jim? That's what I would like to know. Who is Jim? Seeing somebody name. Oh, so he done made up an imaginary person to explain why him and Mindi was on the run. I don't know. It say I can click. Okay, here are the full statements from both sides after the pre-trial. Well, it ain't okay. Whatever. So Doug says we look forward to the trial and finally be able to clear Mr. K's name. This trial is a long time in coming. Boom. Through no fault of any individual. But because he was over there handling that YSL young thugger situation, it caused it to delay. So now they finally glad. Doug said, look, I'm done with YSL. It didn't take 5 years. That case is over with. I'm up in here. Let's handle this. I've been waiting for this day. The Office of the District Attorney of Atlantic Judicial Circuit is also preparing for this trial, saying we hope that we're moving closer to justice for the family of our victim. Most importantly, Mindi, right? The trial begins today, which is August 4th, directly at the jury selection. So interesting. I guess to say the least in regards to that. Yeah, it looks like Court TV is still like playing a little rerun. I guess you can consider it like a promotional video, kind of showing that the trial is coming up. Yeah, but interesting to know what we got coming up with the trial. Let's see here. Are you reviewing the case info? I just read through the court documents. I think they'll seek the jury today, Kim. Fingers crossed.